Chad Deinert, Emerald, Nebraska. Used to be a lot of wheat and milo around this country. Over the last, I would say, 10 years, the wheat and milo have strictly moved all to corn and beans, half corn, half beans roughly, short 2,000 acres. It's very simple to have a corn bean rotation. You have less disease problems, less bug problems. Helps with the harvest side, helps with the planting side, helps with the spraying side. Every acre we farm is getting covered twice. Coming in early April to get our corn herbicide on. After that, we're getting a bean burn down put on roughly at planting time or when it fits in, and then coming back with the post for corn, and then we're coming back posting the beans. Years ago, when I was really coming on farming with my dad, before that he had usually had the co-op put on the pre-emerge, and a lot of post-emerge wasn't done back then. It might have just been spraying a little 2,4-D or cultivating. And when Roundup beans came in and more post-emerge on the corn, we had first had a 500-gallon pull-type sprayer. And I was one that pretty much ran that all the time. And as we expanded more, we had to get a bigger sprayer, and then we went to a 1,000-gallon pull-type sprayer. And we got to the point where we were going to upgrade sprayer, the pull-type sprayer, and the tractor. And so we thought with that type of expense, we could definitely look at a self-propelled sprayer, and that was how we began our search for looking at sprayers. And we bought our first one in 2005, an Apache, and now in 2010 we have our second one. We first came associated with Apache. We met Mark, our salesman, at a farm show. They had an Apache machine there we were looking at, and through meeting him there and a couple other conversations, we ended up owning one ourselves. With a pull-type machine, you have to almost have another tractor associated with it because we're hooked to a sprayer so long anymore. And so we were looking at a way to get rid of a tractor, and having just a self-propelled machine, you're looking at basically a tractor sprayer, but it's one unit. And by being self-propelled, it's definitely easier getting around, less tracks in the field, and an efficiency side of it, it has to be a lot more efficient running a self-propelled than a pull-type sprayer. We like to cut tracks to a minimum. We're no-till 100%. Like to keep our tracks down, and so anytime we can do things that will help us reduce tracks, trips, we're always searching those type things out. No-till came into this whole area back in the mid-'80s. Guys were experimenting with it a little bit. We didn't have the herbicides that we do now either, and so then it made it easier to go no-till. In eastern part of Nebraska here, we don't have any irrigation, so we're 100% dry land. So by no-tilling, we're saving as much moisture as we have. And also a time and fuel factor. If we had to work all this ground, it would take more manpower, more fuel, more machinery. And so basically we're covering those acres with a sprayer instead of tillage equipment. And this year we've had a little experience with fighting the mud. We've had wet spring, wet summer. And I've been through some, what you would call mud, standing water. We didn't get stuck or anything, but it felt like at times we could. And it was not ideal situations by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes you got to do what you have to do to get things done. We did cut a little track with it, but I don't know of anything that wouldn't have. Yeah, our farming operation probably consists of, from north to south, 12 to 15 miles, and so we do get some road time in there. And with this machine, high 30s, low 40 mile an hour, depending on type of water you're holding in the tank driving down the road, so it can get down the road in a pretty quick amount of time. With a pull-type machine, you're pulling it with a tractor, most likely only about 20 to 24 mile an hour, and the Apache will be that high 30 to low 40 mile an hour. But when we came to the self-propelled sprayer at that time, we also went to a flatbed on the semi with a 3,000 gallon tank, so we had plenty of water. And so I always have a nurse tank at the end of the field. But we went with the Apache for the simplicity of it. We thought it was a simple machine. Price does play a factor in that. Apache is a little bit cheaper than some other makes. Not to say that it's a cheaper made machine. The John Deere sprayer, you would be looking at a lot higher priced. So to get value for your money, the Apache is the way to go. Years when you get behind, which has happened the last few with rains, we can push things to their limit. And we can be almost hard on equipment at times when you're trying to get over a lot of acres in a short amount of time. Like booms on a sprayer can take a pretty big beating out in the field. And we've had very, very few issues with those. And even on this new sprayer now, it seems like they might have beefed them up a little bit more. We've had no issues. Of course, we spray anywhere from 10 to 15 gallon an acre. And so it's no problem getting them quantities on at pretty much any speed you want to run. Just no issues with that whatsoever. Visibility is good. I know several years ago with the redesign, they went with the curved rear window, which made seeing the booms out the back a lot nicer. Got this one new this year. We had ran an 850 since 2005. Starting back on that 850, very few issues. I can think the one thing we had to do on that 850 was one of my buttons on my T-handle to raise a wing. The actual handle broke out of the T-handle, and the only way we could get that fixed was get a new joystick. It wasn't the end of the world. It was pretty simple to switch out. Other than that, regular maintenance, very simplistic. Really, we haven't had a lot of issues. The few that we have had, we had to talk with ET, and we talked with our local dealer, and our local dealer was able to help us through that situation without any issues. And overall, we just haven't had a major breakdown. Something that has gone wrong usually could be fixed a day we weren't spraying. We were able to get through it. Spraying is one of the most critical things we're doing anymore, especially with no-till. We plant the crop, we spray the crop several times, and we harvest the crop, to make it simplistic, but that's about what we're doing. And so this is one of the most critical things we're doing. We're always using a pre-emerge on our corn, which you can be talking a lot of dollars if you're overlapping too much, not getting it on the right amount, getting it on timely. And we use a lot of Roundup around here. We're Roundup beans, Roundup corn, so we're always posting both crops with Roundup. Custom application is mainly done by the co-op around here, and they have a lot of acres to cover. And so we haven't had any done here for over 20 years because we've had our own machine. But it can become an issue, especially in rainy years like this, that it's tough for the co-op to get every acre they need to get covered as well. So you might not be getting the co-op to show up when you need them. So at least when you have your own machine, you're able to run the day you want to run, when the weather conditions are right and it's time to get it done. You'd be spending a lot of dollars to have the co-op spray everything twice, and so to own your own machine, it seems it's two things. You like to get it done when you want it done and get it done how you want it done. Well, I went up to a 1,000-gallon tank on this sprayer from the 850, which from our pool type sprayer, that's what we were running, was a 1,000-gallon tank. It just seems like a nice amount. That usually gets us where we can fill up, pull in the field, and get the field done. I don't know that we'd have to go to a much bigger tank. Because if a guy had a bigger tank, say you got up to a 1,600-gallon tank, and we're all the same, if you have that much room, you'd fill it up. And so you'd be driving around the field full all the time. And we look at it, we try and keep things light, especially this year. It was damp. We were trying to keep compaction down, tracks down. And so if we could just put enough on to get the field done, we were happy with that. And a 1,000-gallon tank was able to do that. We farm a lot of hills and terraces, and everything that's got a hill has got a terrace around here. So it's what we're used to farming with. If a guy had ideal conditions, and around here we're not square fields all the time, but it's not bad to hit 400 to 500 acres in a day. The more efficient a guy can be spraying, whether it be the efficiency of the sprayer itself, anytime you can cut costs, like with a light bar, if you're able to have less overlap you can be talking 10%. Well, 10% of your total chemical bill can amount to quite a little. And if you're able to spend less hours spraying because self-propelled is more efficient, that's all value that's just going in your pocket. We have several neighbors around here that all have all sorts of makes, and I'd have to say I would pick this towards the top of all of them.